Welcome to the Daily Octane. It is Monday, May 12th. It is Monday, May 12th. So today's video, I knew what the topic of this was going to be this weekend when I was riding my bicycle and I got a notification on my phone from the New York Times talking about the planned acquisition of the Trump administration of a Boeing 737, 747, 747 from Qatar. Now, normally something like that wouldn't be huge news. There's some backstory as far as dealings with Qatar. The idea that they would gift the United States something, possibly not the end of the world. Now, interesting that this news gets dumped over the weekend because it's generally where things go to die in the news because most reporting isn't going on. People aren't watching television. They're not generally reading the news, so on and so forth when it comes to the weekend. But here's the thing. And I'm going to take a couple of minutes to try to explain this a little bit. We have a president in Donald J. Trump who is a convicted felon, who has not divested himself from his businesses during this presidency, claims to not take a salary, yet his own golf courses are receiving millions of dollars on a weekly basis just in the cost of housing Secret Service members, foreign dignitaries that come to his resorts. And that's just there on the surface. Never mind what's happened with any kind of stock dealings that have occurred. His Dogecoin, which is a cryptocurrency that he's selling, which he immediately and directly profits from. And he's getting foreign investment into Doge. The legalities of that, to which nobody's doing anything about because the Department of Justice is run by Donald Trump. A lot of these things we're not going to be able to address until after his presidency is over. So now this news comes about this plane. Now, some quick backstory. Let me see if I can do this without screwing this up as I tend to do. This right here is the leader of Qatar. And this picture was taken, I believe, 2019. So back in 2019, Donald Trump and his administration began to reconnect with the Qatar royal family. Now, they were kind of ostracized on the world stage for a number of things that they had been doing. Predominantly, they've been having a lot of dealings over the years with the country of Iran. And Iran also notorious for their hostile terrorist organizations that are active, throughout the Middle East. So Qatar was kind of ostracized by the rest of the free world. Well, Trump's administration decided to renegotiate diplomatic relations with them back in 2019. Late 2018. Now, there was a time when Qatar was trying to buy Boeing, and the Trump administration was going to help push that through. Unfortunately, they ran out of time in Trump's administration and ended. This is just me saying this. You're not going to find any reporting necessarily on this. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but my guess is in late 2019, if the Qatar government was trying to buy Boeing, it would have taken several months, possibly several years for that to clear regulations here in the United States for that transaction to go through. There are a lot of issues when you're talking about foreign countries buying companies like Boeing, which not only, create passenger jets, but also do a lot of stuff with the U.S. military. So there's some dangers there, right? So obviously Trump loses the election in 2020. Biden takes over. This deal is scrapped. There's nothing that's going to happen with it. But surprise, surprise, now all of a sudden Donald Trump's in office again, and we get this deal that gets reported of hold on, where did I put the picture of the plane here? Right here. This is the 747 that they are gifting, or at least an image of a similar 747 that the Qatar government is going to gift to the United States. And I put that in quotes, to the United States. Now, here's the thing that's being reported that, came up today in an interview with Donald Trump. When pressed on this, he, along with his administration, admitted that once his presidency is over, which, first of all, shocking that he's even willing to admit that his presidency is going to end in a few years. But when his presidency is over, he is not going to turn over this plane to the U.S. government, not the U.S. military, which Air Force One, the 27, I think, is what Air Force One is. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. I'm sure I am. But the current Air Force One, that is a plane of the Air Force, thus the designation. So this is going to serve as the new floating White House, right? The new Air Force One, essentially. But he has no plans to turn that over. Loosely saying that this plane will transfer ownership to his presidential library organization, so on, so such. Regardless, he's going to keep the plane. His goal is to keep the plane. Now, earlier today, Pam Bondi, the head of the Department of Justice, essentially said there's nothing wrong with that. He can do whatever he wants to do, as Pam Bondi has been saying all along, to anything that Trump says. Here's where we run into some issues. First of all, Pam Bondi has I believe it's in here. Right here. Okay. Pam Bondi is literally filed with the U.S. government as a lobby for a foreign interest. And she is made up to $100,000 a month lobbying for the nation of Qatar here in the United States to help broker deals. They've been making billions of dollars of investments into the United States. As I said before, they tried to buy Boeing, but they've got a lot of stock purchases, a lot of investment in the United States, right? So this right here. Highlight this again for you. Pam Bondi has a career of being paid by a foreign nation to help lobby for investments into the United States. Now, this is the person who went on television today in an interview and said that what Trump is doing is perfectly fine. Well, let me forward you to something else here. This right here is the language of what they call the Foreign Emoluments Clause. What it says is no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of Congress, accept of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatsoever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Now, I will link to this article here. This is Annotated Constitution. This is a fantastic website. And what this does is it kind of breaks down the historic nature and how it's evolved over time. But essentially here, and you can go read this on your own, essentially here, what it says is that a foreign power cannot bestow upon any leader in the United States, anybody from a mailman to the president of the United States and anywhere in between, any kind of foreign title. They can't make them a lord. They can't make them a prince. They can't make them a duke, basically eliminating the possibility of any noble ascent. That way, the clear line of continuity is kept within the United States, and there's no question as to whether or not the president of the United States, for example, is operating in the benefit of another country as opposed to ours, since they do not hold any kind of noble role in another country, right? Well, in 1966, we passed an additional thing that was worth noting. And this right here talks about gifts, foreign gifts. This was in 1966. And it specifically mentions the president and the vice president here. And then it talks about what foreign governments are. And the key thing is that nobody, minimal value, no government employee can receive a gift from a foreign power in excess of $100. And if not, it has to be, it all has to go through Congress for consideration. Now, there's been a couple of gifts over time that have gone to Congress and asking for clarification. Jefferson did it. It's happened a number of times. And then within reason, they're generally accepted, but they usually go into some form of archives. The president does not keep these gifts. They go into a museum, essentially. So what Donald Trump's doing right now is against the law. Now, could the plane serve as the flying White House, right? Could we make this plane from Qatar Air Force One? Maybe. In my opinion, maybe. Now, I'm no presidential historian. I'm certainly no constitutional historian or scholar. But you read this just for a couple of minutes. This, by the way, this website, I'll also link this one in the comments or in the description. This is from Cornell University, their law department. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. I want to play one more thing for you here. Actually, I wasn't even on that screen, was it? But that's okay. We're going to pass that. We're going to talk about this right here. Trump was asked today by ABC News about, and actually, I'm going to let him talk for himself. Let's go ahead and play this here.
It's going to be very interesting.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you? Why not leave it behind?
You're ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
It's only ABC. Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question.
Okay, so this is what he does, by the way. If you've ever spent any time watching actual press conferences or interviews with Donald Trump or situations in which he's in this kind of environment and being asked questions, if he gets a question he does not like, the first thing he does is attack the news organization itself. Okay. This is what fascist authoritarian leaders always do, is they try to attack the free press, try to discredit the free press, try to bully them or embarrass them or whatever the case may be.
They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us. I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much. You know, there was an old golfer named Sam Snead. Did you ever hear of him? He won 82.
Okay, he starts deflecting here. He starts talking about Sam Snead, who was a golfer that, you know, was in his heyday was an excellent showman and an excellent golfer. And he's trying to relate this to golf, which is something the president would do, and basically saying that if you get a chance to take a free putt and not have to putt it, like somebody says, oh, no, you're good, you're giving it, but you decide to take it anyway and you miss, you become a buffoon. He's trying to somehow connect this to that. It's weak at best.
Golfer. And he had a motto: when they give you a putt, you say thank you very much, you pick up your ball and you walk to the next hole. A lot of people are stupid. They say, no, I insist on putting it. Then they putt it and they miss it. And their partner gets angry at them. You know what? Remember that, Sam Snead. When they give you a putt, you pick it up and you walk to the next hole and you say, thank you very much.
Respectfully,
That's his excuse. Gets better. Watch this.
as a businessman, some people may look at this and say, have you ever been given a gift worth millions of dollars and then not received anything?
It's not a gift to me, it's a gift to the Department of Defense. And you should know better, because you've been embarrassed enough, and so has your network. Your network
Now, this is after he's already said that he's going to keep it after he leaves office.
is a disaster. ABC is a disaster. Here is the bill, Bobby.
He just said, here's the bill. That's an important thing to know, by the way, too. That is not a bill. That is an executive order. The president does not create bills. The president creates executive orders. He also created an executive order today to lower drug prices. That's what he's touting, is that he's going after the pharmaceutical industry to lower drug prices. However, if you read the actual executive order, there's nothing in there with any teeth. It's a request of private drug companies to, on their own, lower prices. It's going to go absolutely nowhere at all. All right, so real quick, just to finish this video up, the president of the United States should never be in a position to be influenced by a foreign power. If Qatar, who is currently in the process of negotiating deals with the Trump administration for further investment into the U.S., in addition, the city of Doha, which is the primary capital of Qatar, is in negotiations right now with Trump's family to build a Trump casino and golf course in their capital city. While he's still president, that is also a conflict of interest. It looks to me like a giant quid pro quo. It looks really very much like an illegal use of the Emoluments Clause. It also looks like a gift from a foreign power. You know, if it smells like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And we should all be outraged by this. This is the point, right? So, like, it gets very easy sometimes to look at these things and say, oh, the Dems and the liberals, they're getting all bent out of shape and they're always going after Donald Trump. Even if you are a traditional conservative Republican, this should be terrifying to you. You should see this and absolutely lose your mind that the president of the United States, whose singular focus in this world should be the protection and sovereignty of the United States of America and its people, to include its companies, is allowing himself to be manipulated and lobbied by and given gifts from a foreign power whose primary ally on the world stage is Iran. Let it sink in. Take some time with it, as long as you need. This isn't the only thing. We have a crook, we have a con artist, and a liar in the White House. And I don't see where it's going to get any better. Hey, do me a favor. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I've been watching recently. It looks like about 25% of my viewers on these Daily Octane episodes are subscribers. That means 75% of you aren't. So if you can take a quick moment, click down there, subscribe to the channel, like this video if you do. And also, if you've got some friends, I say this every time almost, if you've got friends that you know are traditional conservative Republicans that maybe aren't MAGA, share these videos with them. My goal in this is to raise awareness, but I really am trying to talk to those people on the other side that maybe voted for Donald Trump but feel like they made a mistake. Because the only way we're going to stop some of the things that he's doing is to make a lot of noise. We need to be out there. We need to be protesting in the streets. We need to be writing letters to the editor. We need to be making phone calls to our congressmen and our senators and really pushing the narrative that the American people are fed up and we don't want this nonsense anymore. So once again, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends and family. Thank you for watching the Daily Octane. My name is Christopher Hess. I'll catch you next time we got some news. Have a great day.